Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Dowell, and I'm going to be talking about the circuit, the immersion video we watched, and then the other readings and viewings that were included for this week. So I just wanted to start off by saying that I thought the immersion video and the first part of the circuit did a really good job at highlighting realistic challenges that English language learners face. I think the perspectives that it gave us, from the perspective of the child, is really important to see, because as teachers we're not always thinking about that, exactly how the student feels in those shoes or in their situation. So in the immersion video, we saw Moises struggle in his new school with communicating with his peers and teachers, and some examples of specific challenges that he faced of not being able to communicate was when he understood how to do the math. He got the answer right in the class when no one else knew it, and he wanted to share his thoughts and share how he did it, but he wasn't able to because he didn't know the words. We saw him take out his dictionary and look up the word 40 because he didn't know how to say it, and you can tell that he really wanted to participate and really show that he was smart, but he couldn't get that across to the teacher or his classmates. And I can only imagine how frustrating that is as a student, to feel smart and to not be able to have your peers or teacher realize that about you. Also, we saw him be pushed to the side by his teachers. They were telling him that taking the test wasn't important, or that he didn't need to worry about taking the test. And then we even saw his peer outside at recess tell him that he wasn't going to take the test because everyone tells him it's not important. So clearly these students don't feel like anyone cares about them. And if they're being given this response from teachers that they aren't important, then they're gonna self-identify as that and just stop caring or trying because they just think no one cares about them. And then that just continues this cycle where they'll never improve. He also faced bullying by his peers. They were making fun of him, calling him names, throwing things at him, and you could tell that he just clearly wasn't happy where he was. And then also, throughout the day, he got distracted by these vivid traumatic experiences, memories that him and his family have. From the video, it seemed like they were crossing the border. So I think that not most ELLs, but I think it's pretty common among ELLs that they come from families who immigrated or they themselves immigrated, and they have these traumatic experiences that can be distracting throughout the school day. And they're also distractions that other kids in the school don't have to face, or at least the majority of the kids in the school don't face. And so unfortunately, all of these problems or challenges are shared experiences for most ELLs. And they start off at this disadvantage because of their lack of English skills and their lack of being able to communicate with their peers and teachers. And they can't get better or improve because teachers in schools don't see them as important all the time. And they don't get the support or scaffolds that they need. So when I read the circuit, we read about Francisco facing a lot of the same challenges that Moises faced in the immersion video, such as bullying, feeling unimportant, not being able to articulate his thoughts, and also trauma distracting him. And the book didn't really explicitly say that, but I could just tell based on what Francisco was experiencing in his life. A lot of traumatic stuff happened, and he was really young, and I can't imagine that that's easy for a young kid to accept and just go about a normal day in school with all of that in the back of their head. So different from Moises, he wasn't allowed to speak Spanish in school, and he got scolded by his teacher. And I think that's a really big problem because in Gibbon's book, she talked about building new language knowledge off of their native language. So for Francisco, it would be really helpful for him to speak English or speak Spanish in school, and speak Spanish with the other kids so he can kind of get the idea of what's going on. And then also combining the knowledge of Spanish and English is going to help Francisco make connections so he can better understand English. And so yeah, I found that really upsetting when the teacher acted that way. When he was trying to just get help from a classmate. And also he just wasn't shown any support from the school, similar to Moises. Again, they just were pushed to the side. No one really cares about them. And then also, this is different than Moises, but Francisco clearly didn't have any resources at home to practice or work on his English. And that's a really big step in being proficient at English, is just like using it and being immersed in it. And if Francisco can't do that at home with his family who speaks all Spanish, then he clearly isn't going to make any improvements. And then according to data from the Educational Experiences of English Language Learner website, there are some other challenges that weren't really explicitly talked about in the book or video, but I think they're definitely there underlying. So participation in preschool is key to being prepared for school, and it also has a lot of educational benefits, long-term educational benefits. And unfortunately, only 16% of preschool-age English learners are enrolled in preschool when it's available to them. And this puts ELLs at a disadvantage from a really young age. And then also, similarly, participation in challenging classes or college prep courses in high school is low for ELLs. So the website said that Algebra 1 is a gatekeeper course. So basically, like, that's like the first hard course that you take in high school, and all your other knowledge kind of builds off of that, whether it's math or not. I feel like you kind of always encounter Algebra 1 stuff, and it's like a basic course you need for high school. And only 2% of ELLs get enrolled in Algebra 1, which is really, really low. And again, puts them at this disadvantage, even at an older age. So it's clear that there's this kind of cycle that goes on where they just never get the help they need, they never improve. Clearly, our ELLs are at a disadvantage in school, no matter what their age is. So they definitely need that extra level of support and scaffolding to be able to succeed. Now, according to Pauline Gibbons, from the other text she offers some solutions to these problems. So the first would be provide the correct scaffolds for students, and she explains this high challenge, high support method of scaffolding, which means the students have challenges and it's kind of difficult for them, but at the same time they feel comfortable to embrace themselves in those challenges, or to like try something harder. They're not scared to fail because of the support that they're getting. It's like a really healthy and encouraging environment. And then another solution that Gibbons suggests is in pull-out programs, or just in general, allowing English language learners to talk with each other and work together, and just interact with each other, because interacting with the language that you're trying to learn and being fully immersed in it is like the first step to being successful in learning that language. And then if students are also interacting with students who have similar experiences as them, that creates a really healthy learning environment. So then there are a lot of common myths among English language learners and how schools handle them. So another myth is that schools don't have to enroll people who aren't legal citizens. That's incorrect. Schools actually are required to do so under everyone's right to an equal public education. And then the last myth is that schools are able to ask for documents to prove people's citizenship, and that is also incorrect. Schools are prohibited from doing so.